Hello and welcome back to the Ghosty Girls podcast.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
We figured out the volume. I was talking close enough to the mic.
I don't even know what to say other than we apologize for being complete dipshits.
Not at all. We just are, as Christina said earlier, apparently men and just don't read directions.
Yeah, we didn't read the directions on the microphone, and one of them has this hidden volume control, and the volume control was almost all the way down on one of the mics. So that's why our sound has been uneven for the past 18 fucking episodes.
Yeah.
So again, we apologize.
No, we don't. This is a learning curve, and you know what? We're learning. We learned today.
We are two blondes. All right. Enough said.
Fair enough. Anywho, we got it figured out, and hopefully you can hear everything.
Yeah.
Or not.
Whatever. Let us know in the comments how dumb you think we are.
Or how smart, because we actually figured it out.
By accident.
On accident.
It's true. So, things should be good now. We're ironing out the kinks.
There will be more to come, but hopefully not that drastic. Anywho, so I'm just going to dive right in.
Yay!
As we did last week. And today's... Here we go. Here we fucking go. All right.
And it begins.
And it begins. Today is a story that involves a cult.
Oh, shit, baby!
I know. I know you love cults, and you inspired me with your last one with the pop-up story, the grandfather.
Life with Grandpa, won't you come along?
No.
That one did really well, by the way. That podcast episode did really well. You guys loved the Life with Grandpa episode, and I'm so happy because when I was doing it, I was like, this is kind of teetering on super inappropriate. I know we cover inappropriate stuff, but child stuff is really, really kind of, but you guys loved it.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening.
Thanks for writing it and telling everyone.
Yes.
To you. I'm saying that to you. Thank you, Christina.
You're welcome.
Today is a story that involves a cult, again, a music teacher, castration, aliens, and a mass suicide sponsored by Nike.
I feel like I might know what it is.
Oh, you know it because you're a cult girl. You already know what this is. I do want to note,
cult girl.
Well, you know what I mean. I do want to note that the mass suicide was not actually sponsored by Nike. I just threw that in for fun.
Yeah, but you'll see why at the end, though, because Nike kind of is involved.
Yeah.
I mean, not directly, but it's in a weird, what am I trying to say? A weird little detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a weird detail. And I feel
it's random.
All of the research that I did, everyone mentioned the Nike. And I kind of feel I don't like Nike anyway, but I feel a little bit bad for them because I'm sure that really put a damper on sales for them.
Yeah, as soon as I think of this cult, that's one of the first things that I think of, and also the really creepy leader of it. But I digress. I'll let you go.
It's the swoosh cult. Okay, so on March 26th, 1997, the San Diego Police Department received a call for let's call it a welfare check, based on the report of a mass suicide. The receiver said, clearly this is a joke, and sent out one single officer. That officer took his time, stopped to get a coffee.
Are you serious?
I don't know. That's, in my mind, this is what he did.
He probably did.
I'm sure he did, because he's like, fuck these guys, freaking prank calling, wasting my time. I'm going to Drizzles. Drizzles is Dunkin' Donuts, because we have names for everything. Sorry. So the officer stopped and got a coffee, in my mind at least, and then leisurely arrived at 18241 Colina Norte in Santa Fe, California. He took a sip of his coffee, took a deep breath, and then made his way to the front door. After knocking a few times with no answer, the officer made his way to the other potential entrances of the home. And guess what? Third time was a charm, because he found a door around back or around the side, I don't know, to be unlocked. Still thinking this was a prank, he opened the door expecting absolutely nothing. But what he found was exactly what he thought, nothing. And then he lowered his gun and took another step into the home, and was suddenly hit with a smell that many describe simply as death.
Oh, no.
It was then that he realized this was no prank and immediately called for backup. What happened at 18241 Colina Norte, you ask? I'm going to start from the beginning. Hold on. Buckle up, Buttercup.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your dicks. Okay, May 17th, 1931. A boy was brought into the world by parents, Marshall and Louise Applewhite. They named their new bundle of joy Marshall Applewhite after his father, a Presbyterian minister in Spur, Texas. And I'm going to say hook 'em to anyone listening in Texas, which is zero, but you know. Marshall, always trying to impress his father, became very involved in his church as a child. It is said that he was very charismatic, very musically gifted, and as he grew, he dreamed of being a minister just like his father. He earned a bachelor's in philosophy and immediately enrolled to study theology at Union Presbyterian Seminary. I can't believe I said that on the first try.
That's awesome.
I almost said cemetery.
I couldn't even do that.
I think you could.
Nah. I've stumbled over a lot less.
Usually I can't pronounce the word the.
Words are hard.
Words are hard. So while he was pursuing his dream to become a minister, he met and married Anne Pierce, with whom he had 2 children. During his studies, he was offered a position as the music director of a church in North Carolina, an opportunity that he, of course, jumped at, realizing that his passion was music. That position was cut short in 1954 when Marshall was drafted into the Army. Marshall served in the Army Signal Corps, which took his family to Austria and New Mexico. Even while serving, though, music remained a huge part of Marshall's life. When he was allowed to leave the Army after 2 years of service, Marshall enrolled at the University of Colorado, where he earned his master's in music, focusing on musical theater. Although Marshall wished to be a professional singer, he was unable to break out and make a name for himself in the music industry. This led him to the University of Alabama, Roll Tide,
Greenbowl, Alabama. Sorry.
Yeehaw, where he taught, I'm going to let you guess what he taught.
Music?
Yes.
What?
You win a Starbies next week. It was during this time teaching that he finally came out and realized his sexuality. Unfortunately for him, he decided to practice with a male student and was fired soon after.
Oh, no.
I know. God bless him.
Come on, Marshall.
Yeah, get your shit together, bro. When his wife Anne learned of his infidelity, man or woman, cheating is cheating,
Right.
she left him and took the children with her.
Damn.
It was reported in a couple of different things that I read that Marshall's father also rejected him upon hearing the news that his son was homosexual.
Well, I mean, it sucks, but it's I'm not surprised because especially back then and being super religious.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't really stand a chance with that.
I know.
Poor guy.
I know. It breaks my heart. So in 1965, Marshall moved back to Texas, where he was hired as the music department chair at the University of St. Thomas. He was again heavily involved in the music scene, from theater to directing his local church's choir, and he even performed with the Houston Grand Opera. Although he did his best to be openly gay, Marshall would sometimes try to hide or change his sexuality by dating women.
Aw.
I know. In 1970, Marshall began to show symptoms of depression and had a declining mental health. And when Marshall's father passed in 1971, his mental health hit an all-time low. He also left his beloved position at the university as he was, again, potentially caught having an affair with a male student.
Wait, again?
It's speculated.
So he obviously did not learn from his prior mistake.
No.
Cool.
Yeah. But again, this is all speculation. You know, he left his job, and they think the reason why is because he was going to be fired, or they I think gave him the opportunity to leave if he wanted to not be fired, I guess.
Yikes.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess they gave him the opportunity to resign gracefully, I guess. Yeah.
Which was nice. So Marshall had enough, and although sources vary on the reasoning, multiple state that he ended up checking himself into a mental institution to try and cure his homosexuality.
Oh, Jesus.
I know.
Okay.
While trying to work on himself and his mentals, Marshall met a nurse who worked at the facility named Bonnie Nettles. Tell you a little bit about this bitch. Bonnie was born on August 29th, 1927, and was raised in a Baptist household. As an adult, Bonnie found herself moving away from her Baptist beliefs. She was married to Joseph Nettles in 1949, with whom she shared 4 children. Bonnie was known to be very spiritual and often sought out guidance from Zoltar.
I'm sorry.
Just
who?
kidding. No,
Oh my God. You really had me on that. I was like, Zoltar, like, as in like the fucking, that thing on like boardwalks and stuff that you put $1 in, and he's like, oh my God.
Give me another $1 for another fortune.
This is like a shitty fortune.
No, but she would often seek out fortune tellers.
I'm dead ass. I thought that you were serious, and I was like, wait, I don't remember that in the documentary that I watched.
I don't think that would have been hysterical.
It really would have.
Told me. She would often seek out fortune tellers for guidance. That's kind of, when I say spirituality, it's not like Christianity. It's just spiritual in the sense of
like New Age
spiritual
type.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So Bonnie also became interested in astrology, and in 1970 began to conduct seances to speak to the dead.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Not going to lie.
She was convinced, though, that she was able to speak to a deceased monk named Brother Francis, who often gave her life instructions. And in addition to frequently getting life advice from a ghost, Bonnie also became hyper-focused on theosophy, I think that's how you say it.
Okay.
Which is the thought that there is a secretive brotherhood of spiritual enlightened beings known as the Masters, who have essentially achieved spiritual enlightenment and obtained supernatural powers.
Okay.
They believe that these Masters are attempting to revive what was once the ultimate religion that offered the human soul reincarnation based on the principle of karma.
Sounds a lot like Buddhism, kind of.
Yeah, that's...
Not that I'm not that well versed in Buddhism, but that it just reminds me of that.
I feel like it does revolve a lot around Buddhism.
Yeah. It sounds like it.
Yeah, but all of this together also led Bonnie to find interest in the occult.
Oh, okay. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
Like you hear occult and people are all like clutching their pearls, like, oh my God, satanic panic. But the occult is not in and of itself like devil worshipping and all that shit.
No, it's more like spiritual.
Well, and according to the Google, it says occult beliefs are often associated with secret societies, secret philosophies, and mysticism. In the Western world, occult beliefs are sometimes associated with evil connotations such as witchcraft, sorcery, and ritual sacrifice. However, in some Eastern cultures, occultism is blended into religion in a morally neutral way. Okay.
All right. Well, yeah, so thank you for clearing up the occult. Yeah,
because honestly, like it has such a negative connotation with it. When you say occult, you think someone is a devil worshiper, but it's honestly, it's not that. It's so much different than, I don't know. I think it got a negative connotation because of all like the 90s satanic panic shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly. So we are still in the 70s, and in 1972, during one of her fortune teller readings, Zoltar, Bonnie was told she would meet a tall man with pale skin and light hair. This description matched Marshall's look to a T, and the moment their eyes met, they said they both felt an instant connection.
That is kind of weird.
I mean, but they're both in a mental institution. Like,
oh my God. Okay. Yeah. So that...
I mean, she was looking for a tall, pale-ass, light-haired man.
Yeah.
And at work, she happened to find one of the crazies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right.
But you never know, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever. So Bonnie offered to perform an astrological reading on Marshall. And when she did, she told him that their stars aligned. And
Of course they did.
And they were spiritually connected in a past life. Marshall then told Bonnie that she was to be the sage and he the speaker.
Okay.
Shortly after, on New Year's Day 1972, Marshall and Bonnie left together and thus sparked this shit show of a journey. And for those of you that are wondering, yes, Bonnie left her husband and 4 children behind.
Can you imagine being her husband and being like, my wife, who is a nurse, literally left me for one of her psych patients?
It's a blow, man.
That is a blow.
Yeah, but at the same time, he has to realize that she was probably crazy, like doing...
She was at least teetering on the edge of a little crazy.
Teetering.
I mean, I feel like that shit just doesn't come out of nowhere. I'm sure there were signs.
There were signs. I mean, she was performing seances and talking to Brother Francis on the reg.
The seance thing, I can get down with, but
Yeah.
I mean, her being like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to get like all of my life advice from this dead monk or whatever. Like that.
Teetering.
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 Teeter-tottering.
So Marshall and Bonnie, they considered each other. They considered each other.
They considered each other.
They considered each other the soulmate. I'm gonna tell
considered each other.
I don't know why I said it
You
like
just
that.
went Italian.
I really want some eggplant parm. Also,
Chilies.
oh my God, how did you know? Chips and salsa.
Because you always want chili.
I always want fucking chilies. It's so good. Just trying to get a sponsorship, man.
That would be pretty sweet.
So Marshall and Bonnie considered each other soulmates. However, it was platonic. They moved in together, and after a few failed spiritual-based company failures, they decided to devote their lives to traveling and spreading the word of their religious and spiritual thoughts, with hopes to gain followers on their journey. What were their beliefs, you may ask? We don't really know. It consistently changes, but at this point in time, it was loosely based on a mix of Christology, which consists of preaching of Jesus.
Christology?
Christology.
Christ.
I think that's how
That
you
is
say it.
weird. Either way you say it is weird.
Yeah,
Christology.
Christology.
Okay.
Which, I mean, it basically is just preaching of Jesus.
Isn't that like every religion based in Christianity though? Like if you're
Yeah, I don't know, bro.
I don't religions are not my thing, obviously.
I love
So-
religions. I love religions and like finding out what different people do
yeah.
and like their belief systems and the why behind it. But I have never heard of Christology.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be a little bit different. It has its own name, or it's just a different name for Christianity. I don't freaking know. They also based some of their beliefs on eschatology.
Never heard of that. It's interesting. Eschatology?
That sounds right, yeah.
It's fine. I mean,
Eschatology. Eschatology.
you know.
You know, that
You
thing.
know.
I'm going to spell it for everybody. Eschatology.
I think that sounds great.
Awesome. So however you say that, focuses on the last of things, such as the second coming of Christ, the end of days, etc.
Why are cults always based on end of times?
Scare tactics.
So why can't we have a positive cult? You know?
I told
Come on,
you
guys.
on your last cult episode that we need to make a cult and call it like Rainbow Glitter Farts. And we will only be happy and people can pay us to tell them what to do.
I'm down for that.
But it'll be positive and we'll be like, oh my God, you're doing such a great job.
Yeah, I'm going to tell them to edit our podcast so we don't have to do it anymore.
There was one other belief system in the mix, and that was, I'm going to call it a asceticism. Asceticism.
Okay.
Okay,
It's like a
asceticism.
stigmatism.
I have that.
So do I.
It sucks. Yes, they focused on stigmatisms.
I mean, how can you not? Especially when you're driving at night.
Oh, God, the worst. So, asceticism, which is the focus of refraining from worldly pleasure to attain a higher spiritual self. Now, because they were combining so many theology branches, they convinced themselves that they were already of a higher spiritual plane than everyone else. Ultimately, all said and done, The couple believed that they were the couple referred to in the book of Revelations. They expected to be killed, then resurrected, only to then be floated onto a spaceship in plain sight of the world. Shockingly, not many people were buying what they were selling.
That's weird because it sounds really legit.
100%. I mean, I can't even enunciate the words of what they were mixing in their belief pile, so...
Yeah,
there's that. So fast forward to 1974. Marshall had rented a car, which he then decided to keep because the Lord told him he could keep the car.
Stop. So he basically stole a fucking car. Okay. All right. Well,
Yep.
I mean, if Jesus said so, it's fine.
Yeah. Jesus said, you can keep the car to continue to spread the good word.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So Marshall, for that, was arrested and sent to jail. The cops were like, no, bro.
Just like the casualty of, or the casualness of it. Like, oh, yeah. And then he was arrested.
He was detained and then put in jail for 6 months.
Damn.
I know.
Rapists don't even get 6 months.
Listen, Jesus tells me to steal a car and then I get put in jail for 6 months.
That's
Can you imagine
bullshit.
his thought process?
No, I really can. I'd be fucking pissed.
I know. No one knows if this was good or bad, though, because this gave him heaps of time to think about his religion.
So bad.
So, yeah, it was bad. In his deep jail thoughts, he decided his focus would be on extraterrestrials and evolving to a higher power with them.
Right.
Once he was released, he and Bonnie decided they were, in fact, extraterrestrials themselves.
Right.
And they had been sent to bring humans to a higher level of evolution. So they scraped together all they could from side jobs and funding from anyone who already bought into their bullshit and purchased advertisements looking for people with an interest in aliens. I mean, not a bad road to go, right?
Who doesn't like aliens, you know?
I mean, I love reading about
fucking
aliens.
love aliens.
Who doesn't?
I fucking love them.
So they said that they were sent from another planet to conduct an experiment and decided to rename themselves in honor of their newly found roles. Mm-hmm. Bonnie took the name of Guinea, and Marshall was known as Pig. Get it? Guinea pig for experiments?
Wow.
Yeah. There's something else, man. I can't.
And then they I shouldn't say this now because you're probably going to get into it, but they do change their names again, right?
2 more times.
2 more times?
2 more times, yeah.
Well, can't wait for that.
Yeah. Don't love that.
I don't love that.
We need to have a cup that says that. Don't love that. That'll be our first piece of merch.
That's one of our quotes. I don't love that.
I love it. Mine is, God bless him.
Or, he's a dick.
What a dick. So initially, they called their group Anonymous Sexaholic Celibate Church.
Stop. Shut the fuck up. How have I never heard of that?
I don't know, but I'm excited to tell you stuff that you don't already know about.
Anonymous Sexaholic?
Anonymous Sexaholic Celibate Church.
Okay. That makes no fucking sense.
Anonymous Sexaholic Celibate Church. I'm just going to let that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
The name wasn't bringing in the amount of people they had hoped for.
Well, that's fucking shocking.
Right. So they changed it to Human Individual Metamorphosis.
Cool.
Their hard work and recruiting was finally paying off. In 1975, they were invited to speak to a New Age religious group in California, as well as a religious meeting in Oregon. Combine those with handing out pamphlets and recruiting at local colleges, and they were about to gain over 50 followers.
Damn.
I know. People love the aliens. With the fast increase of devotees came the realization of pressure and unrealistic views from several of them. Once they experienced the cult-like atmosphere, they reached out to local media, who was more than happy to cover the story. Once people heard about the aliens recruiting for an experiment to reach a higher spiritual level, they wanted to see more. With the negative media attention, Marshall and Bonnie decided to move their growing, quote, group out of the public's eye, and they again changed their names, this time to Bo and Peep. This is to reference their new, quote, flock of followers. They had manipulated the rules to get rid of all worldly attachments. Members had to renounce their whole family if they weren't willing to come with them. Drugs, alcohol, jewelry, hairstyles, and even their sexuality. Once their flock proved themselves worthy, they were then told to choose 3 consonants followed by the name Odie, O-D-Y.
Oh.
For example, J-M-M-O-D-Y or K-R-R-O-D-Y.
Those were their names? Their new names?
Karodi.
That's weird.
Yeah. The group stayed together often at campsites and shockingly did not talk about their religion.
Okay.
I know. They seemed to be in hiding from the media. So they did this for a while. And in 1976, guess who changed their names again?
What?
Stop.
And this is their last names, right? The last names that they...
Yes.
Okay.
So no longer known as Guinea and Pig or Bo and Peep. Marshall was to be known now as Joe and Bonnie as T. Wait.
And that was a nod to Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do, like
Correct.
in Sound of Music, right?
Yes.
I believe, because he was big into music.
Yep. So it is speculated to be either from Marshall's musical background or a nod to Bonnie's favorite movie, The Sound of Music.
Oh, that was her favorite movie. Okay, interesting.
So they told their followers to expect a UFO visit and gathered them to witness it, only to then tell them it was a test to see if they were devoted. They then began making it harder to remain a member, making everyone in the group essentially rely specifically on them. Marshall told the members to submit to them as children or pets do, ultimately making he and Bonnie their parental figures. Marshall was in fact looked at as the fatherly or fun uncle figure among his followers.
He was a funkle.
He was a funkle. He gave them the illusion that they could make their own decisions as well. In the late 70s and early 80s, the reins were loosened a little bit when the group moved into actual houses. Of course, they didn't call them houses, they called them crafts, because clearly they purchased spaceships shaped like homes.
Crafts.
I know. They continued to do little tests and trials to weed out the followers who were not fully committed. However, they did start to offer, again, more leniency. Followers were allowed to contact family members to catch up as long as they told them they were studying computers at a monastery. Did I say that right? Monastery?
Yeah.
And many members had full-time jobs at this point, mostly in IT or computers. Essentially, they did this because visiting families and having jobs gave the illusion that members, again, were free to come and go.
Okay.
And they could make their own decisions.
Makes sense.
Yeah. In 1983, Bonnie began to fall ill. She finally visited a physician, because she's a nurse and all. And she found out that she had cancer, which was quickly spreading. And she even had to get one of her eyes removed.
Oh, shit.
I know.
I didn't know that.
That doctor was, of course, a quack, according to Bonnie, even though she had an eye removed. And she ignored him. A few years later, in 1985, Bonnie would pass away from the cancer. And Marshall, of course, was distraught. He told his members that Bonnie was too spiritual for her own body and had to leave her, quote, vessel behind to ascend to the next level. Marshall also told the group that he was left behind because he still had more to learn, and Bonnie was the true, quote, father of the group. His students were so supportive throughout this time that Marshall threw a ceremony to honor and spiritually marry the group together in unity. Marshall preached that the group would be physically taken to a spaceship for all to see, and death before would lead to reincarnation. With Bonnie's passing came a change to his belief. So they no longer needed their physical vessel, aka their body, to get aboard the spaceship. All they needed was their soul, which would ascend and then be placed into a new vessel once on board. He used Jesus as an example. So Jesus ascended after he was killed, but he ascended onto a spaceship, hence the white light. Not next to the right hand of God the Father Almighty, but onto a spaceship.
Interesting.
He also now taught that they could only ascend every 2 millennia.
What?
So the early 1990s would be their time to shine.
I like how cult leaders just be changing shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, just kidding. Now it's this. Like,
Yeah. He's like, oh, no. She died, but I'm still here to learn, and now she's talking to me. It's crazy. So Marshall continued to spiral, obviously.
Yeah.
And became very paranoid, often thinking that people were trying to infiltrate their homes, and started talking about the earth being recycled or rebooted. So this actually had me thinking, like, I did want to throw in there that he didn't mean destroyed. He took it as almost like a cleansing or like a glitch.
Oh.
So what if all this actually happened and that is what caused the Mandela effect?
Ew. That's creepy. A nod to one of our past episodes.
Think about it, though.
Ew, I don't love that.
She did it. She did the quote. She did it.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
I know.
Wow. I don't like the way that makes me feel.
Same. It makes me feel icky and creepy.
Yeah.
Berenstein fucking bears. Anywho, this is also around the time where he decided to call the group Heaven's Gate. Marshall decided that there were evil aliens on Earth controlling and taking over people.
So there were good aliens and bad aliens.
Well,
basically.
he was the good alien. All the other aliens were bad aliens.
Makes sense.
He called them Luciferians. He and the group remained quiet until around 1992. They had quite a few techie people in the group at this point who created a website for them. Also created a business designing web pages for businesses outside of the group.
Okay. So that's, I guess, how they were like making their money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was said that they made like $400,000 a year.
Damn.
I
Okay.
know. I mean, there were a lot of people, but
Yeah. But still,
Yes.
for a cult, like that's
pretty good.
Yeah.
So Marshall looked. Oh, by the way, that website is still up today.
It is?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck
It is
up.
creaky. It is creepy as shit.
I know what I'm doing tonight.
I mean, I was looking at it last night and I was like, no.
That's cool. I didn't
I
know
know.
that.
I'll tell you a little bit more about it down in a minute.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. So Marshall looked at the internet as an opportunity to grow and share his beliefs. The group began recording everything and even made a 12-part video series, which was broadcast via satellite. Their website that I just told you about actually still has like the outline of these videos. It's not the videos, but it's like what is in every video.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. They're, like I already said, they're creepy. So in the early 1900s, the group had lost several members and Marshall just knew. Oh, wait. Never
Did you say in the early 1900s?
I did.
Oh.
Sorry. Let me rephrase that whole thing.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just like, did I hear that? I was
No.
like, did I stroke out for a minute?
No, that's 1000% what I said. In the early 1990s, the group had lost several members. Sorry. The early 1900s, they had dysentery and died.
Oh, damn, we went way back. Shit.
Sorry. So in the early 1990s, the group had lost several members, and Marshall knew his time to catch the spaceship was close.
Oh, boy.
I'm telling you. In 1993, the group again changed names and now called themselves Total Overcomers Anonymous. Yeah.
So apparently that name wasn't the one that stuck. Because I mean, I had never even heard of that.
Yeah, they still called themselves Heaven's Gate, I think, too, because you'll see in the end it's on their
Okay.
uniform, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
So they spent a ton of money on seminars and even took out a full-page ad in USA Today trying to lure people in with end-of-day scare tactics. These extreme measures worked, and the group actually gained a lot of new followers and grew to over 50 people. So with the increase in members came the realization that to ascend to the next level, all earthly and human things would need to be forsaken, even the human body. For some reason, this realization took on the focus of the suppression of sexualization, which then led to several members getting surgically castrated to remove any urges they may have previously had. I know. And to Marshall, sexuality was a top contributor of hindering efforts to ascend, especially since he now preached that next level beings had no reproductive organs.
Okay, I have questions.
Okay. I don't know that I can answer them, but I'll try.
How does that even make sense? Because you would need reproductive organs and everything in order to keep your race going, right? So how the fuck were these beings like? Okay.
They ascend humans up there and have them have their babies.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Makes sense. Either way, it makes sense.
I stole that from American Horror Story. So soon after, members were required to rock the same sweet short haircuts and similar clothing to each other, regardless of their sex at birth. In 1996, exciting news spread of the rare appearance of the comet Hale-Bopp, which is super fun to say. Hale-Bopp.
It is. Hale-Bopp.
Hale-Bopp, bump-a-dop-bop. I was singing that yesterday, sorry.
That was perfect.
Thanks, nailed it. Marshall took this opportunity to tell his followers that Bonnie, again, is talking to him and told him that she is on a spaceship directly behind the comet and is waiting for them to ascend.
Okay.
They set a plan into motion and recorded 2 more videos, one of which is called Last Chance to Evacuate Earth. The group were living in a rented mansion in Ranchero, Santa Fe, California. In early March 1997, each member recorded a farewell video stating why they were leaving and how excited they were.
I saw that. It's so sad.
I know.
Like, they really were, jazzed about...
They were.
They thought that they were ascending and getting the fuck out of there. That's sad.
I know.
I mean, jeez.
I feel bad for their families.
I do, too. It's just a shame.
I know. And many sources state that these were basically just videos of members thanking Marshall and using his preaching and different phrases. Marshall also recorded a video explaining their exit, as well as the fact that there cannot be another leader, since they will all be ascended. Leading up to the massive event, they would all go out and enjoy worldly pleasures. Like their last meal, they all went to Marie Callender's and had turkey pot pies and iced tea and cheesecake.
That's okay. I feel like I would have chose something a little different as my last meal.
Yeah.
A pot pie.
I don't know if that was their last. Yeah, I think that was their last meal. I don't know, but they went for a pot pie, iced tea, and cheesecake. They all ate the same thing. And before that, they would go to steakhouses and other places that they typically would not have gone because it was against their religion. So I guess they were just getting it all out of their system or spending all their money. I don't really know.
Interesting.
So March 22nd, 1997, the members each put on the same black jumpsuit, $5.75 in their pocket, the same black Nike sneakers, and a custom-made patch. There it is. The swoosh. They also had a custom-made patch on their arm that read, Heaven's Gate Away Team. Over the next 3 days, they assisted in each other's, quote, ascension to the great alien ship in the sky. Members would take turns mixing depressants with pudding, juice, and alcohol into a deadly concoction to then be consumed. Once consumed, each person would lay down, cover themselves or be covered with a purple sheet, and some sources say they would also have a bag placed over their head. Marshall was one of the last 4 to take their life. He had 3 assistants, I think, and they helped him on his way. And then after they were sure that he had, quote, ascended, then they took themselves. So it was like a 3-day process for everyone to do this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy. So a few days later, a former member received a cryptic note stating that they had all ascended. He knew what that meant, so he called into the San Diego Police Department for a welfare check at 18241 Colina Norte in Santa Fe.
Okay.
What the police thought was a prank call turned out to be one of the largest group suicides in U.S. history. 39 people were found. Again, same outfits. They each also had a little small bag neatly packed next to their bodies.
What was in the bag?
Clothes. I guess. I don't know. Because they were going to need it for their souls. I don't know. Soul clothes?
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to read you the names of the victims and what it says. And I got this from suicidecleanup.com, which is a weird site. But you can actually click on each of the names and it gives you like a description of each one.
Suicide Cleanup?
Mm-hmm. It's a website. So the victims, of course, you have Marshall Herf Applewhite, who was 65, and he was the leader. Judith Rowland, 50. She was a homemaker. Cheryl Butcher, 32. She was a computer trainer. David Van Sinderen, 48, and he was an environmentalist. Alan Bowers, 45, an oyster man. Margaret Bull, 54, farm girl. Alfonso Foster, 44, bus driver. David Moore, 40, computer network engineer. Julie Lamontagne, 45, and she was a nurse. Darwin Lee Johnson, 42, musician. Robert Arancio, 45, he was an artist. Gary Jordan St. Louis, 43, computer programmer. LaDonna Brugato, 40, computer consultant. Joel Peter McCormick, 28, Trekkie. Star Trek? Like, he just really likes Star Trek, I guess. I don't know. Gail Mater, 27, boutique owner. Thomas Nichols, 58, brother to Star Trek actress Nichelle Nichols.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
John Craig, 62, developer. Margaret Richter, 46, computer whiz. Susan Elizabeth Nora Popp, 53, editor for a computer company. Michael Barr Sandow, 25, ex-paratrooper. Norma Jean Nelson, 59, artist. Suzanne Cook, 54, drifter. Jacqueline Leonard, 72, medical assistant. Susan Strom, 44, outdoors woman. Yvonne McCurdy Hill, 38, United States Postal Service employee. Dennis Thurman, 44, seeker. Lindley Averhart, 41, car salesman. Jeffrey Howard Lewis, 41, masseur. Erica, I don't know why I said it like that. Erica Ernest, 40, cult accountant. Lucy Eva Pesso, 63, computer trainer. Joyce Scala, 58, local TV personality.
Wow.
Yeah, and like I said, you can also see the photos of each one of these people and read more about them at Inside the Heaven's Gate Mansion, the victims, on Suicide Cleanup. I can send you the link. We can link it if people want to see it. But all I want to say is may they all be on the spaceship ride of their lives, I guess.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah.
It's really sad, too.
I know.
Like, yeah, I don't know, man. Cults just fuck me up. I find it interesting that this was, a 3-day process?
Mm-hmm.
And they all still continued with the process.
Yeah, no one backed out.
Yeah, there was not one single person that was like, meh.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I mean, with Jonestown, it got to the point where there were people, they were watching these people die.
Mm-hmm.
And they were horrifically dying.
Yeah.
And people were trying to back out, and they were injected anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, these guys actively took it. So here's my thing. I don't know if they actually had bags over their head or not.
I heard that before, though.
You did? Okay.
Yeah. And there was one documentary that I watched that the theory behind that was that I guess some of the bodies were not dying according to plan, so they were speeding it up.
That was my thought process. That's what I was going to say. If they did have bags over their heads, I imagine that the process was not as easy as they thought it would be.
No, and it was with a bunch of different drugs, right, that they took?
Mm-hmm. A bunch of different depressants mixed with pudding, juice, and vodka.
It probably was not a peaceful type of death, I would say.
Way.
I mean, why would they need to put bags over their heads if they died, in their sleep? Something happened.
That was my thought process, too.
Eesh.
Crazy.
It is crazy. That was a good one.
Thanks.
I love me a good cult story.
I don't, but, here we are.
Like I said before, it just fascinates me because I personally just don't understand how grown-ass adults can just follow someone so blindly like that.
Yeah.
That is baffling to me. I can see how children born into cults, like, obviously they don't know any better.
Yeah.
But these were intelligent people, like computer people, and these...
Yeah. Yeah. I do appreciate that there were no children in this cult.
Yeah.
I appreciate that part. But at the same time, like you said, it's just, how do you hear somebody spouting something and be like, yeah, that's the truth?
I don't know.
You know, I mean, you have churches. A lot of people say churches are cults.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
like
that's true.
Religion in general. I mean, but to me, there's got to be something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just live my best life. I just try to live as good as I can. And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, same. That's all you can do. And to be honest, some of the kindest people that I know are either atheist or agnostic. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't feel like religion has anything to do with what type of a person you are. I mean, obviously, because there's so many religions where the people do some really fucked up things. Like, you got the Catholic Church, and we all know what happened there, and cults, and I mean, these people, they claim to be like godly and religious, and they're doing these horrible fucking awful ass things. And then you have people that are agnostic or atheist, and they're just living their life like a decent person. Yeah. So it's like, it comes down to the person, I guess.
Yeah.
Man.
I know. What can you do? Well,
crazy stuff.
I'm telling you. Boom.
Well, good job. That was a great one. I highly enjoyed that.
Well, thank you. I actually really enjoyed researching it and like learning more about it. It was super interesting. And there was so much that I mean, couldn't even fit in here because it would have been like a 17-parter.
Yeah, yeah. But, and some of this stuff is just like, it's hard to wrap your mind around. Yeah. Like,
I had enough trouble just enunciating the religions. So, you know, hopefully it was okay.
It was great. Good job.
Yay. High five. Gold star for me.
Yay.
Woo.
Well, if you liked this episode, drop us a comment.
Like, subscribe.
Yeah.
Blood types. We'll take them.
If you don't like it, just move your ass along. We don't need to hear it.
We still love you, but if you could please give us a 5-star review.
Yes, that would be awesome. Go on iTunes. Make a login just for that. I mean, shit.
Duh. I've made logins just for people. I've downloaded Apple Podcast on several phones, actually. And was like, here, now you love us.
Yeah. Every little bit helps. Go on YouTube and follow us and like us, you know. It helps us. It does. And it makes us feel good about ourselves, you know.
It feels like somebody's actually listening. Other than us.
Yeah.
I'll stop saying that because it makes me sound not confident. I'm confident. You bitches love this shit. I know. You're welcome.
We're very into the self-deprecating humor, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
That's kind of our aesthetic.
Boom.
I feel like that's kind of an East Coast thing. Like the self-deprecating humor. And we're East Coasters, you know? So fuck you.
New York, New York. I don't know why. That's Starbies, where'd you go?
Yes.
I have to tell you real quick my movie theater story.
Oh, yes. Alicia, as soon as she walked in the door, she was like, I need to tell you what happened to me at the movie theater. And we specifically waited until we were recording because she said it's a good story.
It's a good story, and you might hear this, or it might just never be heard other than by Christina and the people that I already told. So
all right, hit me.
I'm going to... No. So, long story long. Winter break. We decided to take Jackson to see a movie. The other movies were sold out all but the front row. Not gonna...
The movies were crazy during break. Like, it was really difficult. We forget what movie I went to, but there were like no seats left.
Yeah, we tried to see Moana, and we couldn't see it because it was just front row.
Moana sold out really quick.
Yeah. I mean, Jackson watches all the Sonics, and I low-key love all the Sonics, too. They're really good.
Yeah.
So Sonic had came out, and there were 3 seats left.
Oh, wow.
In, like, the third row from the top, which is great. Like, that's where I like to sit.
Yes, same.
You know, I like to sit all the way at the top in the middle.
I do, too. Yep.
So, yeah, I bought the seats. We go in. We're there before the movie starts, of course. You know, sit down. got the popcorn and all that stuff. I always bring a little blanket for Jackson. So it's me. It's a random lady to my right, me, Jackson, Jack, and then Niall. Okay. So we're sitting there and the movie starts, right? So my 6-year-old, Tails comes on. Hey, look, Mommy, it's Tails. And he's not yelling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I know, I see him. That's awesome. Mommy, it's Knuckles.
Aww.
Mommy, it's Sonic. And I was like, I know, buddy. I know, it's awesome.
He was excited.
He was so excited.
And it's a fucking kid's movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to see them on the screen.
Yeah.
And the lady next to me, I have never. She goes, is he going to be doing this the whole movie?
Oh,
I looked at her. I know. I looked at her. I was like, well, he's 6. So.
Probably.
Ugh. And she goes, well, I just wouldn't have brought a kid like that to the movies.
Oh, hell no.
I know.
I hope Moesha came out.
Moesha was already there, girl. Moesha was already there. I went, well, and just shrugged. She goes, well, I'm going to go down and tell them up front.
Okay.
And that's what I said. I said, please, feel free.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So she didn't like that I called her out on her bluff. I think she wanted me to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll move. Bitch, there's no other seats. Like, fucking
what did
deal
she
with
think
it.
you were going to do? Leave with him?
Well, it's a kid's movie, right?
It is not that serious.
I know. So, I mean, again, I called her bluff and I was like, please feel free to go tell them up front. And then she said something under her breath. And I just turned to her and I went, sorry, like that. And she goes, no, you're not. And I went, you're right, I'm not. and then I just put my seat back, you know, like the feet come up the recliner seat and just sat there. Oh, she was pissed. And I was so proud of myself because she got out her phone and she was like hate texting about me. And I didn't even get my phone out to give her that pleasure of knowing that I was like riddled with anxiety.
What was the point of her making that much of a fuss? Because she just ruined the movie for herself.
Exactly. Well, I don't know, because so there were 3 older kids to her right and another woman who looked to be in like upper 40s, somewhere in there. And she looked like she was probably younger than me. So I'm assuming maybe she's like the shitty aunt who got drug along or like doesn't have kids and doesn't realize. Like maybe she's never been to a kids movie. I don't know. But she was a bitch. And I was proud of myself because I didn't stand down.
Yeah, I'm proud of you too.
Thanks.
Because you're usually you're overly kind.
I try.
And I'm the opposite of the spectrum. I would have made a whole ass scene in there because you're not going to make my child feel bad about seeing a child's movie.
Right.
Like, that shit would have been on. I would have been like, you know what? Actually, I'll go see the manager for you. And then I would have gone down and been like, there's someone in there that's harassing my child and I fear for my child's safety. I would have made like a whole fucking scene. I'm going to
need you to pause this movie.
Yeah.
Get up, bitch.
Yeah. And then I would have been like, also, I want free tickets.
Earrings coming out.
Oh, yeah. Hoops coming out. It's on. But yeah, that's... So I've been to multiple movies with my daughter. She is a huge movie buff. Lucky for me, she's my daughter, she's like an adult in a child's body. She is like an adult in a child's body.
She's awesome. I love her.
I mean, she will sit there and be quiet the entire time. But we do go to the movies with my niece and my nephew sometimes. We took them all to see the new Beetlejuice. They love Beetlejuice. It's probably not the kiddiest kid movie, but there were a lot of kids in the theater.
Of course.
And they made comments because they were so excited. Like when people came on the screen, they'd be like, it's Beetlejuice!
Yeah.
And people were like laughing and somebody was like, oh, like no one said anything. And that's honestly a movie that I would expect people to be like, why'd you bring your kid to that?
Right.
But it's Beetlejuice, so fuck off.
Right.
But yeah, I've never been in a situation at a kid's movie where someone made a comment about a kid being excited to see a fucking movie. It's a kid.
Right. That's exactly how I thought.
Fuck that bitch.
Agreed. But I will tell you, I think after the movie really started, because that was just in the beginning. After that, like, he was quiet almost the whole time because he was watching the movie.
Well, yeah, he was excited.
Jack talked more than Jackson did. It was hysterical. And it wasn't until that woman stood up and went to the bathroom. I pulled out my phone and I texted Jack. I was like, this bitch next to me, listen to this shit, you know, and told him. And he goes, oh my God, what is even going on? And then when the movie was over and it was time to leave, we always stay and watch, you know, for an Easter egg or whatever they call it at the end. So they did too. And I was waiting for this bitch to say something. She would not even make eye contact with me. I think because she realized how wrong she was. Because throughout the entire movie,
there were probably kids.
There were kids screaming and yelling and talking and this and that. And my kid, maybe 2 peeps, you know? And I think she was like, oh shit, that was in my mind. She realized how wrong she was. So fuck her though.
So I can say this because I have British heritage, but what a cunt.
Does that mean I can say that too? What a piece of flappy flesh.
She's a right cunt.
Right cunt. Punch her right in the... Never mind.
But seriously, that's like the definition of a cunt.
Like Karen. Cunty Karen.
Yikes. Well, I'm sorry you had that experience, but...
It's okay.
I hope that lady has the life that she deserves. And I'm sure she does, because people that are miserable like that, it's like they attract negative shit. So
agreed.
Have the day you deserve. Have the life you deserve.
Right. I have a shirt that says that. So thanks for listening to my stupid story, but
it was not stupid.
Fuck that bitch. And I am in my villain era, so fuck them.
It's 2025. We're bringing the villain vibes. Okay?
I'm Ursula.
Yeah. I don't know. What Disney villain would I be, do you think? I think I'd be Maleficent.
I think
because I am that petty bitch where if someone doesn't invite me to a party, I will curse your fucking firstborn.
That's fair.
Try me, bitch.
Guys, invite her. She will.
I will. I'll curse your
She can curse your firstborn.
I will curse your firstborn.
Or third, depending on how many kids you have.
I'll curse all of them. Thanks for listening, guys.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.